And here you are in Chapter 5. I don't know if I'd call this the hardest chapter in the game, but I'd certainly call it the most frustrating one. It's yet another escape, and you need to make your way through this very long circular hall while dealing with a menagerie of armors, soldiers, archers, and a slowly approaching mage squad. Meanwhile, you briefly get Evel back in the center arena, where she has to protect Nana while fighting off multiple gladiators, stalling until you need to bust them out. It's all very tense, and you need to be on your toes at all times. But thankfully, aside from the gladiators Evel faces, there are 0 reinforcements, so what you see is what you get. Speaking of which, you have Nana in your party now, so let's see what she can do. I have a lot of issues with Nana. Her stats are just awful, and the fact that they redesigned her to look more akin to Finn, but not officially make her his daughter, have caused an unbelievable amount of pissy arguing over her and Delmut's parentage. Ugh. But aside from that, Nana is single-handedly the best support unit in the entire game, for many, many reasons. Chief among these is her Charisma skill, which gives 10% hit and evade to all units within 3 spaces. And to complement this, she is your first and possibly only mounted staff user depending on the route you take. Nana also has an amazing personal weapon in the Earth Sword. No longer the flimsy 10-use curiosity from Genealogy, the Earth Sword, like Leaf's Light Sword, is a powerful magic weapon that can attack at range, but this one drains HP to heal the user. You may recognize this as being akin to the Rune Sword from later Fire Emblem games. Nana can make an excellent tank with this weapon, but she will need tons of help to fix up her stats before that can ever be done. But for now, it's still an accurate, powerful weapon that can potentially save her from surprise enemy attacks. Take very good care of Nana, as she will be one of your most useful units. Now then, onto the chapter itself. Move your party just inside the range of the initial quintet of enemies, and have Nana and Evel retreat towards the door in the northeast, keeping Evel within 3 spaces of Nana so she receives her charisma boost. The long swords the armors have are essentially the same as steel ones, so try and capture one if you can. The mages, as always, can have their tomes nicked by Leafus, so remember to do that whenever it's safe. Then, continue moving your captive units towards the door. Nana does have a heal staff in her inventory, so use it to patch up Evel whenever possible. Once the initial wave of soldiers is dealt with, capture the priest for his useful items. The holy water, if you'll recall, boosts both magic power and resistance thanks to 776's new mechanics, and they were always helpful to have around. If Evel takes out one of the enemy gladiators, or you move your units into this red area, Merida will spawn and go after her. She can't kill Evel, in fact no one in there can, and they are only able to capture, and in reverse, Evel cannot kill Merida, only capture her. Also, a new enemy will spawn for each gladiator you take out. Just as the first KO spawns Merida, a second will spawn a Swordmaster, a third spawns a Berserker, and taking out 4 will bring out Galzus, and those last 2 you really don't want to deal with. I would highly stress you to take all measures to not spawn the Berserker. It has massive stats, a killer axe, and the skill Wrath, and while Galzus will leave when the door is opened, any of the other enemies won't, including the Zerker. Anyway, once you are able, move Nana right against the door with Evel in front of her. This makes it so that only one enemy can attack her at a time, and hopefully Merida will take that place so you needn't worry about accidentally bringing out the Berserker, as Evel is literally incapable of harming her enough to kill her. As you reach the door, there is another quintet of enemies to fight. They all carry vulneries, so steal some if you're running low, and if you still haven't acquired some lances for Karen, the soldiers here all have short ones that she can use for self-defense in the next chapter. Ideally, you would want to bust Evel and Nana out right away, but if the mages are closing in on you, it would be best to deal with them first. Utilize Leafus' stealing when you can, and take them out however you can with your best gear. You do not want to have more than 3 of them alive in one enemy phase to gang up on one of your units. By now, you should be ready to open the door, so let's touch on the many ways you can end this scenario inside. The first, you open the door. This is the preferred way to go, since you can best control it. As with all the scenarios, Evel will be turned to stone and you will lose her until chapter 24X, and aside from Galzus, any soldiers inside will still go after you. But the only real threatening one is the Berserker. The Swordmaster, Mercenary, and General all have very low stats and can be easily dispatched by Asphal or Fergus. Number 2. Evel captures Merida. This one doesn't have as much control, but it's a nice story bit, and it ends the same way with Evel being stoned. But you still need to open the door, so I'd recommend doing the first option, as you can have your whole team potentially ready. If Evel captures Merida before any of your units are in range, then Nana will probably die from the enemies that are going after her. And the last one, Evel is captured. You really don't want this to happen, Again, everything proceeds the same, and unless you are right by the door, Nana will probably get killed by the enemy still inside. However way you do this, once the door to the arena opens, the door that leads to the escape tile appears, allowing you to leave. If there are still enemies inside the arena when it's opened, plug the hole with one of your units, and if the Swordmaster with the killer edge is around, give a scroll to the blockading unit so they don't get crit. Asshole can take any of them out with Graph Caliber, and since they are all promoted, you'll get tons of EXP.
Nice!
Once you've regrouped with Nana and taken out all the immediate threats, you can breathe easy and take all the time you want for the rest of this chapter, since there are no more reinforcements and no immediate concerns to deal with. Your next menagerie of foes is the boss general and his archer squad. These archers can be somewhat threatening if faced in large numbers, so try to lure them and the general one at a time so you don't get swarmed. The door in the north here leads all the way around the castle to a lone chest on the bottom. You can send Laura now to get it, as she won't be as useful for the remainder of the chapter, and her movement stars can make it go by quick. The chest contains a magic ring that boosts magic by 2 points. There are multiple ways to hand this out. Leaf or Fergus can use it to enhance magic sword use, Asshole can take it to improve his early game killing potential, or, in my preferred way, Nana uses it to improve her healing. The next sextet of foes is a bit more intimidating, as the Bishop has a meteor tome that can easily take out a wounded unit. You can drain the tome with one of your units, or just rush the whole contingent, but however you proceed, remember to capture or steal the Bishop's heal staff and any vulneraries that you can. From here on, there are only a few enemies left. The 2 dark mages by the chest can be a bit of a problem, but their tomes drop their speed to nothing, so you can take them out easily with just about anyone, though for convenience I usually have Asphalt do it with his Graph Caliber tome. One thing to note though is that the dark magic Yotsmagan poisons, and if you remember from my intro, poison lasts forever. It can also kill units, so if someone gets poisoned, it would be best for them to escape ASAP. The last 2 reds are a sniper with a silver bow and a priest with a psychic staff. The former you can lure out like the other archers, and definitely capture his bow since you can sell it for a nice price. Same with the physics staff, but you'll want to keep it. Once everything is done, open the last 2 chests for a skill ring and a lockpick, and exit the chapter. Next time, you finally escape Manster, in what may be one of my most favorite chapters ever. See you then.